Hello, and welcome to Appleton Engaged. I'm your host, Timber Smith, DEI Coordinator for the City of Appleton.
And I'm Andy Anam, the Communications Manager for the city.
And Appleton Engaged is a podcast that explores the many people, organizations, and resources that make our community a great place to live, work, and play. So whether you're a longtime resident or just getting to know Appleton, join us as we learn more about our community together.
With the tagline, Be Kind, this organization does not need any sort of introduction, but I just wanted to say that it supports and empowers everyone touched by mental illness.
Yes, this organization does amazing work. It's an organization's name I hear all the time. At this time, let me introduce Maren Peterson, Executive Director of NAMI Fox Valley. Hey, Maren.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Doing good. And can you please tell us about yourself and your association with Appleton and the surrounding Fox Cities region?
Sure. Well, I grew up in Appleton. I went to elementary school through high school here, and then I left for 20 years and lived elsewhere and found my way back to Appleton about 10 years ago. So I'm back here and enjoying living here again, living near my family and in our great community.
You know, we have a term for these people like you.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's called boomerangs. Appleton is full of boomerangs. We have so many people who with this exact same story where, you know, they venture out after high school or maybe after college and go explore, and then they make their way back to Appleton. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the Club of Boomerangs. All right. You ready to jump in?
Sure.
Can you please tell us about your resource?
Sure. Well, NAMI Fox Valley is an affiliate of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. And I always like to start when I'm talking about NAMI by telling people a little bit about what we don't do. What we don't do is provide any clinical mental health services. So we have great resources and organizations in our community that provide mental health counseling, therapy, medical assistance. That is not what NAMI does. What NAMI does all comes from a peer perspective of people with lived experience with mental illness themselves or with a family member who are providing support and education and outreach to others who might be experiencing mental health challenges. So we approach all of our programming from that peer perspective of really recognizing the wisdom of lived experience, which makes us a little different from some of the other mental health resources in the area. Our programming splits down into a few different areas. We have support programming for individuals who live with mental health challenges, as well as for family members and other loved ones who are helping somebody navigate their mental health journey. We have education programming for those same groups of people, really helping to empower people to be able to take control of their journey or help navigate the loved one's journey by providing mental health education to those individuals. And then we have community outreach, really helping to educate people throughout our community about mental health and mental illness. You know, we know that 1 in 5 individuals will experience a mental illness in a given year. So it's really important to break down the stigma and increase knowledge across our community so that people are equipped to help themselves, help a loved one or a colleague, somebody else they know who may be experiencing mental health challenges. So that's why our outreach, in addition to those programs that serve individuals who are currently struggling or have a loved one experiencing challenges, that's why that outreach is so important as well.
I think it would be important for our listeners to understand, like, how many people are you serving currently right now? And I don't know, should I ask annually or just, because I assume once you're serving, you never stop serving in a sense.
Well, so it's interesting to talk about who we serve, because in a sense, who we serve is everybody. You know,
Right.
Our mission is to support and empower everybody affected by mental illness. everybody affected by mental illness is every single one of us, which brings our community outreach back into it. But in terms of the number of people that actually are touched by our programs in a given year, it's usually last year it was over 13,000. Sometimes it's been higher than that, of the number of participants who either attend a support group, attend an outreach presentation, stay at our peer-run respite. It does tend to be over 13,000, sometimes as high as like 15,000.
So when was NAMI's local affiliate started in the Appleton Fox Cities region, and what was why did you think like we need to start this chapter locally?
Yeah. So interestingly, although NAMI is a national organization, each NAMI affiliate, I should say, including ours, is an independent 501c3 nonprofit. So we're an independent nonprofit, but we are affiliated with the national organization. And that national organization started here in Wisconsin. Back in 1977, there were a group of mothers who got together, of individuals who lived with serious mental illness. Most of them had children who lived with schizophrenia, and started talking about the need for support, for more awareness and education, the need for advocacy, and really bonded together and formed this idea for an alliance on mental illness. And then they started to reach out and connect with people all across the country. And in 1979, there was a meeting held in California, and they expected about 35 people to come. Well, nearly 300 people came from all across the country. And it was at that meeting, spurred initially by that group of people from Wisconsin, that the National Alliance on Mental Illness was formed. Here, and there were people from our area who attended that national meeting, as well as who were part of that initial formation. Here in the Fox Valley, we officially became an organization in 1981. It was an all-volunteer organization, mostly formed by, again, parents of individuals who lived with serious mental illness. And over these past 43 years, we have changed from a small volunteer-run organization offering, a couple support groups and resources and advocacy to an organization, as I just said, that serves over 13,000 individuals a year. And in 2019, we were honored actually to be named the outstanding NAMI affiliate in the country out of over 600 NAMI affiliates here in the Fox Valley. So we've really grown and blossomed over the last 43 years, and really thanks to being in this great community that's allowed us to do that.
That says a lot. I got a question about the term mental illness in a sense, because I feel like there's a lot of things that fall under that, because I feel like it's an umbrella term, that there's a lot of things that fall under that umbrella of the term mental illness. What are some of the things that fall under the term mental illness?
Sure. Well, there's a huge number of diagnoses that are considered mental illnesses. Some of the more common ones are depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. We've got ADHD, many people are experiencing. Those are some of the more common ones you'll hear more often. But one thing I want to emphasize about our programming at NAMI Fox Valley is that to participate in our programming, you do not need to have a diagnosis. If you identify as somebody who's experiencing mental health challenges and want to access support and education about mental health and mental illness, we are not going to ask you for a diagnosis to be able to access our support and education programming. You are welcome to come and welcome to participate if you self-identify that way. But that being said, we really emphasize the importance of treatment, the importance of, getting the help and accessing the resources that you need.
So I have noticed that you also partner with local law enforcement. Like I did a crisis intervention program with APD, and I saw NAMI there because it's on my certificate too. And I don't recall properly, but it was schizophrenia, and they had put us some headphones where you have to hear those voices and then do work and giving us a first-hand experience of how it is to be in their shoes and how people, with the condition goes through every day of the life. So does your organization work with different law enforcements to give this experience firsthand to people?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. The crisis intervention team training and crisis intervention partners training is something we're really proud and excited to be a part of. And the crisis intervention team training is training for law enforcement officers. It's a 40-hour training that we offer once a year in collaboration with the Appleton Police Department and the Outagamie County Sheriff's Department, as well as Outagamie County Crisis. We formed a team. Those 4 organizations came together, and together we're able to present that 40-hour training to law enforcement officers. And then the Crisis Intervention Partners training, which is run by that same collaborative team, is a 16-hour training that is not just for law enforcement officers, but for any professionals who are likely to interact with somebody experiencing a mental health crisis. So we think this is really important training, and we have heard amazing feedback from the individuals who participated in terms of how it, builds out their toolboxes to better equip them to be able to deal with people who are experiencing a mental health crisis.
It was an eye-opening experience for sure.
Oh, yeah. I got an opportunity to do the same training, and yes, because we don't understand always, right? And when you don't understand, I just feel like it leaves too much space for engaging the situation poorly or wrong.
Absolutely. There's so much stigma that exists with respect to mental health and mental illness, and that is getting better. I'm happy to say that, over time we're seeing that breakdown thanks to the work that we do at NAMI and that other organizations and individuals are doing, all across the country and the world. But because there's been that stigma over time, people have not necessarily been able to learn or be exposed to or understand what mental health challenges are like, what mental illness really is. And there's this sense of kind of othering people or, being afraid of what that is, as opposed to understanding, these are health conditions just like any other health condition. And, there are things we can do to address those conditions and to support and empower people who are living with those conditions. And the trainings that we offer for law enforcement officers and for other professionals, as well as the community education in general, really goes to that point. The collaboration that we've had with the Appleton Police Department and Outagamie County Sheriff in particular has just been wonderful in bringing those trainings to life that you asked about.
What do you think one of the biggest misconceptions or myths that people have about mental illness?
Oh, well, there are a lot of them, but one thing that always bothers me more than almost any other is the idea that people who live with mental illness may be violent people. There's this stigma of associating mental illness with violence or crime, and that there's just nothing to support that in terms of if somebody lives with mental illness, they are no more likely to commit any of those violent crimes than anybody else. So it's really something that we see in society that I think is one of the most damaging stereotypes that I'd like to see go away.
You mentioned earlier about serving those people who might have family members or are taking care of people with mental illness.
Yeah.
What do those services look like? What does NAMI do to help those individuals?
This is a really important area of our programming because when you have a loved one who is experiencing mental illness, you are walking that journey as well, and it's really important that you have access to the knowledge and resources that you need to be able to help your loved one navigate that journey and to take care of yourself as well. And so that's why our family support groups and family mental health education are really, really critical work that we put just as much emphasis on as the programming that we do for individuals experiencing mental health challenges themselves. And all of our programming, as I mentioned earlier, is peer run. So our family support groups are led by people who are themselves family members of somebody who lives with mental illness. Our family education courses are taught by family members. That's true in our programming, all of our programming. The person facilitating a group, teaching a class, has the lived experience to be our participant in that class. And the people who participate in our family groups and educational courses really talk about how life-changing they are. Making those connections with other people who are navigating a similar journey and really learning how best to support your loved one, sharing resources, really can change the trajectory of how your family navigates mental illness.
So who do you primarily serve? Because there could be so many age groups it could span out to in. So if you can touch upon the age groups the organization serves.
Sure. So our support groups and our mental health education courses that we do in-house for individuals experiencing mental health challenges and for family members are for adults.
Okay.
However, the outreach that we do across the community reaches all ages, and we do a huge amount of outreach in local schools. So we were in last year close to 400 school classrooms across the Fox Cities area, providing mental health and suicide prevention training to elementary school, middle school, and high school students. So in that sense, we serve people of all ages.
That is wonderful. So now is the story time. Can you share a narrative that basically will make our listeners understand the impact of the organization?
Yeah. So I think when I think about this, a conversation comes into my mind that I had with somebody a few years ago. It was probably more than a few years ago now, 5 or so years ago, where I was talking to a woman who had a daughter who lives with serious mental illness. And her daughter is grown up and actually is living well in recovery from her mental illness. But this individual, this mother, had participated in NAMI Fox Valley's programming and had accessed that programming back when things were really, really hard for their family. And I asked her what her experience was like participating in our programming. And this woman, she was an older woman in her 90s, actually. And she reached out and took hold of my hand with both of her hands and looked into my eyes and said, that was the hardest time in our lives. That was the hardest time in our lives. Her eyes filled with tears. And she said, I don't know how I would have gotten through it without NAMI. And it was meeting the people through those groups, and it was gaining the support and the resources through NAMI that got our family through that time. It was just this really powerful moment to me to have somebody, and this was, many years after they had accessed the supports, to still see her connect back to how important NAMI had been in their journey. And that kind of thing is something we hear regularly, maybe not in such a poignant way, but from people who participate in our programming, just saying to us, I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for accessing the NAMI programming and if it wasn't for gaining the support and the connections and the knowledge I gained through that programming. So that's just, it means the world, right?
Absolutely
it's why
powerful, yeah. Just to have that, trust that she could open up and say that to you shows the, powerful part of your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It gave me the goosebumps.
Yes.
I felt that as you said it.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. It was just so sincere and powerful.
Are there any upcoming events, initiatives, or engagement opportunities?
Yeah, so one thing that I wanted to mention is that we have an annual walk called NAMI Walks Fox Valley, which happens every October. And this is our biggest awareness building and fundraising event of the entire year. And individuals sign up for the walk on our website, and walk participants work in the month or two leading up to the walk to ask their friends, family, colleagues for support of their walk participation through raising donations. And the donations raised by walk participants, as well as sponsors who sponsor the walk, by Walk Day in October every year, We so far, knock on wood, so far every year have been surpassing $100,000. That is incredible community support. And once Walk Day arrives, which in 2024 will be October 5th, it is such a cool, powerful day. We have hundreds of people gathered to walk together, to raise awareness about mental illness, about mental health, to share stories with each other, to share support with each other, and to spread hope, which is just really, really cool. It's such a great event, and I really encourage community members to get involved and to participate in the walk.
Quick question. Where does it normally happen, or does it move sites every year?
So far, for the last many years, we have had it near the Timber Rattlers Stadium. So the gathering place where we all gather to launch the walk is at the Timber Rattlers Stadium. And then our walk route winds its way through kind of the nature trails and area around Fox Valley Tech and has a route that then winds back to the stadium again.
Wow. So where can they find this information? Like, can they go on the website or your Facebook page or social media outlets?
Absolutely. You can go to our website at www.namifoxvalley.org. They can go to our Facebook page for NAMI Fox Valley. They'll find all that information there, as well as information on our programming, of course.
Do they have to sign up, or they just can show up? And
They sign up, yep. So you'll be able to register for the walk through a link on our website or links shared on our Facebook page. Register to be a walk and hopefully engage in some of that peer-to-peer fundraising to help power our programs.
Perfect.
Is there anything the community can do to be helpful to NAMI?
Yes, there are a couple things. One thing, and the most important thing, is to share about NAMI and about the resources that we offer. You know, if you're listening to this podcast and you can think of individuals who you know who might be able to benefit from support groups, from mental health education, please share with them. NAMI Fox Valley is here for them. Our programming, aside from professional trainings that we provide to workplaces, which is a small part of what we do, all of our other programming is free of charge. So individuals can access these support groups, can access our mental health education at no cost to them, and it can provide a resource to supplement other mental health care, to access while you may be on a waiting list for mental health care, and of course to provide that critical support to families who might not have that support elsewhere.
So what kind of volunteering opportunities available to people?
Our primary volunteer opportunities are in our family programming, because most of the individuals, as I mentioned earlier, who facilitate our Teach Our Family programs are individuals, well, they all are individuals with lived experience, and most of them are volunteers. So for individuals who may have a family member who is navigating a mental health journey, if you're interested in volunteering and becoming one of our family program leaders, the best way to do that is to first participate in our family programs. Attend a support group yourself, attend a class yourself, and once you've done that, let us know if you're interested in becoming a leader, and we'd love to talk to you about volunteering in that way. The other area where we utilize volunteers frequently is in our outreach programming. We have a speakers bureau of individuals who join with us in presentation opportunities, public speaking opportunities, to share about their own mental health journey or their loved one's mental health journey, to help break down that stigma, to help inspire hope, and to really be part of our messaging about mental health awareness. So if you're somebody who has a story to share, reach out to us, and we'd love to talk to you about becoming involved in our Speakers Bureau.
So how big is your team? That's a question Timber always asks, but that came to my mind when we're talking about the volunteers. Like, how big is your team?
So our staff is, I'm not sure what our full-time equivalent is at the moment. The number of actual staff members that we have is about 35. But many of those people are very part-time as well. So I'd say about half of those people are full-time and half of those people are part-time. And then our volunteer team, in terms of the core volunteers who actively participate, probably adds another 40 or so people, 30 to 40 people to our team.
That's a big team.
It is a big team. It's a wonderful team.
Well, that's a team that cares.
Yeah, it's everybody to a person. Everybody who participates in leading our programming, whether as a staff member or a volunteer, is really passionate about the work that we do. We are incredibly lucky to have such a passionate team who brings so much of themselves to the programming.
Well, now that we've kind of learned at least some about NAMI and people are listening, who can they reach out to if they would like to learn more or become a volunteer or need the services?
They can reach out to us at our main email address, which is info@namifoxvalley.org. They can call us at 920-954-1550. But most importantly, please explore our website. There's a lot of information on there about the programming we offer. So you can find a lot of information on there, and then don't hesitate to reach out to us if you want more information.
All right. Is there any additional information you would like the Appleton Engage listeners to know that maybe we didn't ask a question about here today?
There is. So I talked about our programming and kind of the main breakdown into support programming, educational programming, outreach programming. I didn't go into a lot of specifics about the details of those programs because we just don't have the time to do it on the podcast. But there is one specific program that I'd like to mention because I do think it's kind of a hidden gem and a really important resource for our community. And that is our peer-run respite, Iris Place. Iris Place is a 5-bedroom respite center where individuals who are experiencing mental health distress can stay for up to 7 nights just to take a step back, get some respite for themselves, and work on their mental health recovery. It is staffed entirely by peer support specialists who are living well in recovery from their own mental health challenges, and it is an incredibly valuable resource for individuals who could just really use that moment in time to take a pause, regroup, and work on their mental health. When we talk about Iris Place, a lot of times we talk about if you see yourself kind of running towards a cliff of mental health, and if you were to fall off the end of that cliff, you'd be accessing emergency resources such as, having to go to the emergency room or accessing crisis care. And Iris Place is kind of this soft hand to kind of cushion you before you fall down into that place and give you an opportunity to just pause, regroup, work on your mental health. It is completely free of charge. Individuals can stay for up to 7 nights. They can come and go as they please. They can continue to go to work. They can continue to live their lives as they like and spend the time at Iris Place when they're able, and just to talk with and work with those peer support specialists to regroup in their mental health. It's an amazing resource.
Now is a shout out time. So who do you want to send your shout out to?
The most important people to shout out are our participants, people who come to our programming, find our programming, and trust us to share their journey. These are amazing people. The journeys are sometimes very hard, but we really feel privileged to be able to work with the people who participate in our programming. Of course, I also want to shout out the incredible NAMI Fox Valley staff and volunteers who do such amazing work and, make this programming that we do possible. And anyone who helps us with funding, which includes our main funders, including United Way, the J.J. Keller Foundation, U.S. Venture, and the Schmidt Family Foundation, among other foundations and institutional funders, but also any person who even contributes $10 to, making our programming possible. We are really privileged to be able to provide such a huge amount of programming at no charge to our community, and it is the community who makes that possible.
Okay. Maren, we just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
At this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode. Appleton Engage listeners, want to say thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for caring about another amazing resource, making our community a better place. You know, we are trying to become the #1 podcast in Northeast Wisconsin, and we need your assistance to do that. So, what can you do? Well, if you have questions that you think we should be asking our guests, please let us know. If you would like to be a guest, let us know. If you would like to recommend a guest, let us know. How can you let us know? Well, you can email us at diversity@appleton.org. Once again, that is diversity@appleton.org. Also, we think we have something very special here with the Appleton Engaged podcast, helping to make our community a better place, a more informed community. But the more eyes and ears that learn about us, the more informed our community can be. How do we get in front of more eyes and ears? Well, while you're listening to us, take a moment, give us a ranking. 5 stars would be nice because I think we deserve it. I'm just saying. And also take the time and leave a review. These things increase our analytics, and the better the analytics, the more eyes and ears are able to learn about this amazing jewel we have here in the city of Appleton known as Appleton Engaged.
Thank you so much for sharing the insights and the incredible work your organization has been doing, and the power of community and the generous donors who supports your work in making a community that is going towards community which is free of stigma and that supports and promotes mental health and recovery. Do the good job. And I will ask all our Appleton listeners to go to their website, find out the resources, share it with your friends and families. You don't know who needs them. So that's how we create those bridges of support. And as a community, we empower every individual. With that, until next time, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and stay engaged.